Hello and good morning, beautiful. So I wanted to do, there we go. I wanted to do a video on, meditation. So yeah, I guess I'll just jump into it and just do it. So meditation. I tried to do meditation for a really long time and didn't have any luck with it. And so in the beginning, it took me many years to get to the point where I could do it in a way that I felt was actually working, I guess you could say. There isn't one way to meditate. So this is just my perspective, my experience, my kind of, everything on it. But I think that there's kind of a degree of a universal truth to it that I think a lot of people share. When you practice meditation for a while, you start to notice certain things that are kind of go across the spectrum of experiences that seem to be pretty universal. So I'll just speak about the basics of this. I think I'll try to keep it to the basics, and then yeah, and if there's any questions or you want any more kind of my experience on this, maybe, I don't know if I haven't offered enough, just ask me, let me know, and I can do a video that goes probably a little bit more in depth, I suppose, if I don't go to that in this video. So the why would you want to meditate? Meditation actually has many variations on its own form. It's something there something, I don't know. Okay, I don't know that. So meditation is probably in the most widely known method. It's actually, if you look at prayer in churches, that's a form of meditation, or it can be. And I've heard people describe their experiences that are devoutly religious in Christianity, describe their experience, and I was like, oh, that sounds exactly like meditation. Meditation, when I was growing up, had a negative connotation to it. Not specifically the word meditation, but I was raised, I don't even know how this notion got put into my head, that if I meditated, I would open myself up to demons and the devil and, all these nefarious influences. And when I remember the very first time I ever tried to meditate, I swear I thought I was opening a portal to hell or something. I have no idea what I thought I was doing. And I was nothing happened. That was the thing, is nothing happened. It was just all in my head. I had, I don't know what I thought. I thought, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to meditate. And I had, the internet wasn't as wide of information as it is now. So you could find things, but sometimes it was, I don't know. The availability of information today, I think, is hugely helpful and beneficial towards this end, because the more that people talk about these things and these cultural mores, that they become a lot less strange and a lot more normal. And that's been my experience. So meditation, the kind of context around it, it took me so long to get to the point where I could meditate, was an evolution of the self. It involved me having to go through a lot of my own self-exploration and things of that sort. And then the trigger for me actually was I'd been starting to meditate fairly regularly, and then I kind of became divinely inspired, I suppose. I like to think of it that way, to start meditating. And I think I had just started out in my bed initially, but it wasn't until after I did a shamanic circle that it really was like, I have to do this now. And I began to meditate every night. And now I meditate on average every morning. So it doesn't matter really when you do it or anything like that. So that's not a huge deal. But the why, to me, is the much more important thing. The how is left to interpretation. The why is the thing that to me is like the reason. Every single person on this planet can benefit by meditation, absolutely. It's it's time. Meditation for me, in my experience, my understanding of it is it's time for you as the human, the conscious mind, to actively engage with your subtler subconscious parts of yourself. So a lot of what I've come across as far as what meditation is and what it does and why you do it is around the idea of speaking to your higher self, speaking to your intuition. If you ever have a question, meditate on it and you'll get the answer. That's all true. But it's not in the way of, I think, the religious structure of praying to God and God answers you kind of a thing. It's not quite like that. I've never had that experience, so I can't speak to that. But I think that people expect these answers to come from something else that's going to be benevolent and give them an answer. The reality is, in what I believe, is that we are all God, that we are all, creators and, all of that. And so when you pray or when you meditate, meditation is my preference, you're engaging with yourself in a way that is in I would say, a relaxed state. And then the questions that you have, you don't really have to even ask a specific question, because you'll get answers. You'll start to get feelings, you'll start to get images. And the practice is, meditation is to be like, to let these thoughts and these emotions, because in the beginning I found it was a lot of emotion that came up for me. And that was hugely beneficial because it allowed me to process certain things that I hadn't been able to before, and develop a different relationship with myself, in the sense of my emotions weren't just these annoying inconveniences, but rather these were my greater self trying to speak and trying to communicate with me and letting me know something was up. So when people get upset or, in any way mad or sad or any kind of really big emotion, it's not from nothing. And a lot of the time I think people can dismiss the reasons why, and without taking the opportunity to try to understand why they're feeling that way. And I think that Western society has really pushed out the inconvenience of emotions and said that, you need to toughen up and, just be a strong person. And I've seen people who've done that their entire lives and they're not happier for it. So I don't recommend that. Meditation is not that. Meditation is complete allowance, completely letting go and just being. That's very hard, especially in today's modern world. Yeah. So the reason why people would want to meditate, you'd have to want to first. That's all I can say. Just have the desire to do so. Just say, I would like to sit and just be able to meditate. And if you can vocalize that, then you're on your way. The universe responds accordingly. Your intuition and your inner guidance will get you there. It'll guide you on the path, I promise. And so it's not so much hard to start as it is getting yourself over the hurdles that keep you from starting. Because once you start, it's a bit of a bumpy road, but it can be. It was for me. But eventually, when I got to the point where I knew I could meditate, it was like it clicked. That was it. I was done. I could meditate from that point forward. And you can tell when you hit that, because then when you talk to other experienced meditators, you can understand each other in a very subtle way, because meditation is not an experience you can talk about. I can't tell you what I meditate about. I can't even begin to tell you what I meditate about. Sometimes I go in with an objective and it is not the thing I meditate on. Sometimes I go in with no objective and all of a sudden it's like, duh, how did I not think that this was going to be the topic today? So why you meditate is to get answers, is to get clarity, is to have solace, to have peace in the self. My creativity is hugely fueled by all of my spiritual practices and religious practices, but meditation is the thing that is the solid state of being always. No matter what's happening around me, that meditation practice instills this kind of column of stability throughout my center. And especially in the beginning, I'll go into the hows, that was my focus. And because it was my focus, it was much easier to stabilize myself, I think, because I did focus so much on the centering aspect of it, because I was so new to it, and I couldn't really probably handle many other, couldn't just go into it and just do it. I had to have a focus when I initially went into it. So that focus is huge, 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 huge. Especially in today's world of constant bombardment of information and entertainment and advertising and all the stuff that's out there. So meditation, it serves so many purposes, but it's hard to describe the exact why somebody want to do this. If you want to feel genuinely better, I would say that's why. If you want to feel more in your experience, like more complete in your experience, yes, that's a reason why. I wouldn't say control. That is not about control. Meditation is not about control at all. In fact, most of my spiritual stuff has shown me that the desire for control is a facade. It's a guise. It's not a real thing. It's just like my incense blowing across my face right now. It's just smoke. That's all it is. That's all control is. This is an illusion. That's all it is. So meditation is, I don't know. It's just, I just kind of say, people just do it. Just do it, try it out, and keep at it. Don't give up on it. It's not the thing that's the thing, it's you. There's nothing scary in meditation, ever, not even once. What scares us is what comes up. What scares us is the realizations, the actualizations, the things that bubble up over the surface, of our walls that we put up, Like I said, you can't tell meditation what to do. It's going to do what it wants in that sense, because it's not responding to the conscious mind that has an opinion. It's responding to the subconscious mind, which has a piece of information. So, yeah, I guess that's as best I can get an answer as to why people would want to meditate. I love meditation. It's absolutely wonderful, but I can have the greatest resistance to it as well. There are days where I literally think, I'm not doing this today. I'm not meditating. I'll be having a really rough day. Emotional. Usually it's a very aggressive personality that I'm in right then. And I feel very frustrated, and I feel very combative and, argumentative and stuff like that. So that's the days that I don't meditate, which is far and few between, because generally speaking, I can allow my vulnerability to creep up well enough that it can say, I'm okay to be vulnerable to this experience, to say that I can sit and meditate. And very likely, more than not, it's always helped me. When I'm feeling really bad, meditation doesn't make me feel worse. Very rarely have I felt bad after meditating, or during meditation, it can be pretty intense sometimes, depending on how deep you allow yourself to go, which meditation has kind of like bungees, I would say. Like, it's like, the thing that showed me actually this was hypnotism. I went to a hypnotist for a little while, and it was through that exact experience that I all of a sudden realized what meditation was. And I realized is that meditation isn't scary. It's just what comes up that scares us and we don't like. So if ever you've meditated and you had a bad time, or it scared you, or anything that was kind of a negative thing, just know that it wasn't meditation that caused it to you. It's something that's already in you. It's already innate in you. It's the human experience. And the human state is suffering, and we have to work through that state of suffering in order to reach the light, to reach the other side of our peace and our solace and comfort. Yeah, so that's as good of a why I can give. Now, the how. The how, that's the easy part. How is not hard. That's the easy part. Just sit and do it. That's it, literally. The general recommended form is to sit in lotus pose or half lotus pose or cross-legged or however you can manage. I very much recommend sitting on a pillow always, unless you are incredibly mobile in your hips and your lower back area. Sitting for any length of time on the floor flat at a 90-degree angle, our bodies are very much not used to that. And not even in a normal chair do you sit in a 90-degree angle. We adjust it in all kinds of ways that we don't probably realize. So I highly recommend sitting on a pillow. Sit your butt a little further forward on the pillow, so where my butt has a kind of like a leverage point where I can sit on a pillow and it kind of pushes me forward and arches my back to where my back doesn't have to strain to sit. Just play with it. You're going to have to experiment in the beginning to figure out your method, because everybody's bodies are different. Everybody needs different requirements. I do know a man who uses a Japanese meditating kneeling stool thing that he sits on, and it lets him bend his knees under him, which is a Japanese style of meditation. But Americans, don't have very good knee and ankles and all of that. So that's, he had to modify it. He had something that let his body come forward like this and under, instead of just flat down on his legs. So if you look up meditation styles, you'll find a lot of them. Mine is just sitting half lotus pose on a pillow. I use a Bosu, which is a yoga bolster. The other hows of this is, people think, should I use music? Should I use guided? Should I do this? Should I do that? Purists think you should have nothing around you, no distractions and everything like that. Some people think that, there's a lot of opinions about how you should do this, I suppose. I guess I've kind of taken in what works and left what didn't work for me. So in the beginning, I highly recommend for people who have a hard time with it, which is completely normal in today's world of distractions, to use a guided meditation in the beginning. If you go onto YouTube, lovely, tons of them, lots and lots of them. I love some of the ones on YouTube. The Honest Guys is a pretty good one. They have short ones, and there's a couple of other great recordings that people have done that are on YouTube for free. Just check them out. Always listen to them first, so that way you're familiar with what is being said and you feel comfortable with the dialogue. If you and especially in the beginning, it's easy to be dissuaded. So by checking out your recording or whatever you're going to be listening to beforehand, so you're familiar with it, creates a familiar space. And that's what meditation does. It creates a familiar space of a point of contact with the higher self, with the higher consciousness. So listen to the recording first. Then I would say you can listen to that. That distracts the mind, and then I think that's very helpful. And also the visualizations are huge. So I do definitely recommend doing a video that has good visualizations. The very first one I ever did that really worked for me was actually recorded by my therapist. And I kind of have a quirky response to that, because she did it just like once, and I was the fluke who got one, and nobody else got one. And I was like, why hasn't anybody else gotten one? So she did a really good one, a visualization of kind of like of lots of nature, a cave, and the idea of having like a womb or a location that you can go into, your safe place in your head that you can go into, is, I think, paramount. Like it's so important, especially for those of us who suffer from anxiety, to have like a very enclosed, protected place to go into in our minds. That was huge. I still go to that cave. I still have that special place in my head, and it was all her visualization. So go through a couple, check them out. Even if it's just, you can just sit outside and just look at trees and nature and listen to it and see how it makes you feel. That's as simple as it is. But meditation should not be hard. There's not a should, but it's going to be challenges perhaps, but the how, it should be easy. Do everything you can to make it as comfortable as possible. I have a shawl I wear that is like a kind of like a trigger for me. Like when I put that on, I know I'm in my safe place and I can meditate and I'm protected. And comfort is the biggest thing. So wear your comfy clothes, wear your sweatpants, get your warm socks on, make sure you're as warm or as cool, or, loose clothing, whatever it is that you need to be wearing, a hat. Sometimes I wear a beanie and I pull it down over my eyes so that my vision is darker. That can help immensely with meditation, and I highly recommend something over your eyes in the beginning, especially if you're having a particularly challenging emotional day. For some reason, the blackness really seems to help cut off. The brain responds to light very quickly, so cutting off light is very helpful. I burn incense. That is just part of my routine, it's part of my ritual. And I have candles and stuff like that. I have like a little altar that I sit in front of. So it's a space that's designated for my spiritual practice. So when I enter it, I know I'm prepared. I'm kind of like subconsciously, it's like triggers occur that tell me you're ready, here you go. So yeah, that's the biggest thing, is just be comfortable. And I would say do it as often as possible. That's the other thing. That's probably the hardest how to do it, that I think I encountered in the beginning, and then other people have encountered, is it feels like work, because in the beginning it kind of is work. You're having to develop a new skill, a new habit, yeah. But 100% don't give up on that practice. It's kind of a comparison to giving up on yourself. If you can't handle meditation that day, you're fine. You're perfectly fine. If you want to meditate 3 times a day, one day, go ahead. Sure, try it out. More frequent meditation reaches a kind of, I can't quite describe it. You kind of reach this almost transcendental state of mind. It's truly amazing when I've reached that, but it's so subtle. And spiritual practices, that's why I have a spiritual practice, is because it helps to, it's my support structure, my support system. And so that way when I go into meditation, it's almost, I give it a more of a well-rounded approach, because I'm approaching it from not just one thing of I'm going to sit here and meditate. I'm going to sit here and open up myself for intuitive notions and, communication with myself and all of that. Let's see, what else? Where can you do meditation? Anywhere. Nature is a good one. That feels really good. Nature's very grounding. So if you feel like your head's detached from your body, that will help make you like anchored. That's huge. The thing I forgot to mention is, this is very important. It's actually very important. The one thing about meditation that you absolutely must do at the end of every session, recapitulate your body back in. The only side effects that I've noticed that were negative were when I didn't do that. It'll really mess with you. You don't maybe realize how powerful meditation is until that happens. So if it does happen, don't freak out. It's not anything bad. It's just going to be a bit of a challenge. That day is going to be a bit of a challenge. If you don't reconnect yourself back in after you meditate, you can feel very detached, very out of it, very spacey. Emotions become really tense. You can be very volatile and very reactive to things. So it's just a matter, of your experience. But the easiest, quickest way to reconnect your body ever, rub your fingers as you're sitting there quiet. I have a timer that goes right now in the morning, so that way I know I can sit for that time. I set it for about 20 minutes right now, and I know for 20 minutes I can just sit there and that's it. No matter what else I want to do that day, no matter what else I've got going on, I can sit there and do that. But when I'm done at the very end, I always spend a little quiet moment, keep my eyes closed, and I just kind of go, okay, we're done with this session today. And then my hands are usually in my lap. I do different mudras, which is these are mudras. Look them up. They're wonderful. They actually are symbols of communications with deities. If you want to go that far with it, it's kind of cool, because I get different responses depending on which mudra I'm using. But I do the Buddha one of this in right hand for women, over left. I think it's universal. Thumbs together if you want to hold them there. Down in the lap by your solar plexus. And I just start to just rub my fingers, wiggle my toes, rubbing my toes together at the same time. And then I do like that. Run your tongue along your teeth and your mouth. And what you're doing is connecting the different parts of you, the mouth, the head area, the hands around the heart area, and the feet. And this reconnects your body back together energetically. Because what actually happens is I think my experience of this is that meditation, you're kind of pushing your energy out, and that's what you develop. It's kind of like your aura, or your aura already exists, but you're kind of pushing out your energy to take in more stuff, to take in more information, to take in more, intuition or whatever it is that you're going to receive, which is all of that. But this reconnection thing is very important. It'll help you have a better time of it. You'll have a better experience meditating if you do this on a regular, and finishing it off with that kind of seals it. It kind of says, okay, I'm back into this human physical realm now. I'm good. I'm back. And I think that bit right there helps the mind to differentiate between what the two things are. The ethereal self that you're meditating with, and the physical self that you live within. So yeah, that's it. I think I went over it all, and my video is a little longer than I was expecting it to be, but I think this is helpful. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions, or give it a thumbs up if you thought this was helpful. It's always nice to know that kind of feedback. And yeah, I think that's it. So, well, I hope you I bestow much luck and give you much luck on your meditation journey. And I'd love to hear your experience. If you're new to this and you're trying it out for the first time, I'd love to hear what your experience is like, and kind of what challenges you're facing. I think that's helpful. I haven't been a new meditator in a long time, and I went through a lot of my own experiences trying to get to the point where I'm at today, where this is comfortable and easy for me, and I can meditate almost anywhere now. And oh, I did forget to say, let me add this. When you begin in the beginning and you're doing your first meditation and all of that, this is totally going to be out of order, but if guided meditation hasn't worked for you, listen to instrumental music really softly, set a timer, keep your times short. I've read a book that said 5 minutes a day, and then build up to 10, and then 15. It's like for 3 or 4 days, and then 3 or 4 days. So building up in time is very important. Sitting still for that long is actually a challenge. So it's a good practice in stillness. And be in an enclosed room where you're not going to be distracted by anything, where you have no children, you have no dogs, you have no people, a place that is completely your own, and that you can politely tell anybody, please do not bother me during this time. That's huge, huge, huge. So being disrupted in the middle of your meditation sometimes, man, it can piss you off. I've been in the middle of a really hefty, deep, like trance state, and then I was cut out of it, and made me very upset. So at the person, not at me. I was having a really fantastic experience, and I didn't want to be interrupted in it. It did. So just communicate to the world around you, the house around you, the people around you, to please not bother you. Yeah, I would just say get something to sit on, something to cover your eyes, some chill music, and a really gentle, very gentle timer. Make sure and test out your timer sounds, because even a vibration probably would be recommended. If you're deeply meditating, time will pass and you won't even know it, and all of a sudden, bam, when that timer hits, it shocks you. And so highly recommend this gentle of a timer as you can handle, as you've got. Sometimes even just meditate until you don't want to meditate anymore. That's also a thing. Yeah, so just give it a try, see how it works. If you have any questions, maybe I can offer some advice or assistance in that way. But yeah, try it out, see how you feel. I am eternally grateful for my spiritual and meditation practice. It's just been, it's a gift that no one else can give you. So I highly recommend it. So yeah, let me know how it goes. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for joining me. Have a wonderful day. Mwah.